Hi, I hope everyone is doing all right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, when or wherever you are. As you can see by the title of the video, today in this Newswatch episode, I will be talking about more or less just economic news. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is not, however, I will be publishing a list of the links to these news, okay? So you can check them out for yourselves. Remember that this video is not being monetized, so I'm not earning any money off other people's contents. And the first thing I want to talk about, I have three news, is this. We are going to talk about the list of enemies of the White House that Mr. Trump, in his infinite knowledge and infinite wisdom, decided to publish. So, without further ado, let's get on with it. Now, this is published in TechDot. It's a site that I have seldom watched them, but I want to explain to you. Let me just focus back to me to explain you something. Okay, I like to vary the sources of information about the things that I talk with you about because I think it's important. I do this also in my own life. Okay, to vary the sources of information is essential to obtain a clear image of the thing you want to talk about. If you just watch one news channel or if you just watch one perspective, you will get it wrong. You need to watch several several sources of news so that you can see where the facts coincide. And that's usually where the truth is. Okay, just to explain this point. Okay, but let's continue. Now, Trump publishes enemies list to White House website, and it's just Democrats speaking the truth. I don't know if that is true, but he has indeed published the enemies list to the White House. As you can see here, what I wouldn't get in, he starts with his opinion, talking about he would rather have a Nixon administration. Somehow, I don't think that is very correct, but you can read this in detail and then oh god, and then you can make your own opinion about their bias and their way of seeing things. Okay, bias not in a negative aspect, but just in the normal bias that anyone can have. Okay, a full-page rant from the nation's sorest winner, declaring anyone who has ever criticized his racist goon squad, immigration and customs enforcement. Masked ICE agents roam the street, that is true. Targeting anyone whose skin doesn't look white enough, also true. Grabs them off the street without identifying themselves, also true. Or not telling why people are being kidnapped and vanishes them in a constantly rotating set of ICE facilities, depriving them of their due process rights, family contact, and in some cases, basic living necessities like food or bathing facilities. And this is also absolutely correct. It has happened. It has happened to European citizens. It has happened, at least that I know of, to three Portuguese citizens. So, and they were white, no milky white like me, at least from the pictures that I saw. So they were not easily confused with some kind of hated minority in the US. But I guess if supporters of MAGA hold parades like I saw outside Catholic churches saying that if you are a Catholic, you are following the devil, I guess I should not be surprised about that, okay? Because I think when this all ends, they will probably just be Israelis and MAGA Christian nutters, okay? Well, it's the only groups that they are not targeting. So, no. People are right to criticize ICE for doing what it does in any way that it does it. Yes, it is. Immigration enforcement does not need to be handled this way to be efficient. Also correct. In fact, this type of immigration policy is highly cost costful because you are jailing people that you have to release, and it also serves no purpose at all. But the president's favorite ghoul, Stephen Miller, yes, I also agree with that, is demanding 3,000 arrests per day, and a nation of bigots continues to cheer Trump on. Only the worst, cruelest version of ICE is possible. Yes, understandably, people react to this hideous behavior in any way they should be expected to react. Personally, if I was an American and I was armed, if some unmasked person would try to kidnap me, I would get my gun out and defend myself. Just saying. And that's all it takes to get placed on Trump's literally official enemies list. Here's how the administration leads into this hit list of Democratic politicians. Not just Democratic politicians, but let's carry on. Okay, this is their opinion. I respect it. The carnage in Dallas, Texas, where a maniac with anti-ice ammo gunned down an ICE field office in an attack clearly targeted the ICE personnel. Lays bare the deadly consequences of Democrats' unhinged crusade against our border enforcements. Like they say down here, the guy that shot up that ICE facility a couple of now weeks ago, he was in fact an anti-immigration MAGA person that decided to shoot up the ICE facility, okay? And he killed and injured, like they say here, much more than ICE officers because he just he popped up his gun and he started firing. This is the truth, okay? So the ICE agent, well, he was in the way. If he had ducked, perhaps he would not be shot. But maybe he had some sense of duty, or he was just caught out without out of God, distracted by some saying. Okay, but then again, we know that ICE is hiring everyone, so I don't really know anything about him. And well, my condolences to his family, as well as to the condolences to the family of the migrants. But the language that they use here is exactly the same type of language that they have been using, and I still cannot understand how Americans believe in this shit. And then Democrats have spent years vilifying ICE as fascists, the Gestapo, and slave patrols, inciting a 1,000 surge in assaults on Asians and a wave of radical left terror. Their words aren't just reckless, they're a battle cry for violence. Well, my friends, let me just focus back on me. This is not a battle cry for violence. This is a battle cry for self-preservation, for self-defense. Because if you are living in a state that does not have due process, uh, I don't understand this because even here, where our laws are completely different from the United States, people are entitled to a form of due process. Okay, they are entitled to have a lawyer. They are entitled to have a defense. They are entitled to be heard, even when they are being deported. Okay, everyone has a right, and we certainly don't abduct people out of the streets without identifying ourselves. Look, this you have to understand this. This type of things only happens in the United States and in authoritarian regimes. Like for example in Russia, where a lady a couple last year, I think, she was outside the Red Square with an empty white paper. Of course, she was protesting, but no, the KGB. I call them the KGB. They call themselves FSB, but fuck them. They are the KGB again. They just swoop her out of the street, and she was disappeared. Okay, and a lot of people disappear like this in the new USSR, which is what they are. Okay, A lot of people disappear like this, and people fall off windows, and people have heart attacks, even if they were healthy as bulls. Okay, everything happens in that state. And what ICE is doing right now is exactly the same. Because, look, if you grab a person from the street just because you think that person is an illegal migrant or whatever they want to call him, well, I'm sorry, but that is terrorism of the state. Your state is committing terror against its own people. Let's just conclude the piece so we can go on to the next one. Here then you can read it all. If you want to read the full list of official White House enemies, go ahead and click through. But it's nothing you haven't seen before, even as recently as last week when the DHS did the same thing because people weren't being deferential enough to the thuggery that makes up ICE daily activities. Look, I won't be reading more of the piece. Okay, I will be leaving the link in the this video so you can check it out for yourself. But look, when a presidency issues a list of official enemies, when a president that is elected by the people, look, I don't care what you say. Americans elected Trump. If they didn't went out to vote, if they were fooled, I don't give a crap. You elected this person and this government to rule you, not to govern you. You elect him to rule you because himself, he said it, and I quote, I will be a dictator day one. If that doesn't light up red flags in your damn mind, then either you have some kind of mental issue, some kind of problem, or you don't understand English. Okay, you don't because, and I find that a bit hard because in the US the majority of the population only speaks English and perhaps something they call Spanish, but that actually is called Castilian. Okay, you only speak that, and you will say, "Oh, there is a lot. There are more French speakers in." Well, go fuck yourselves. I'm talking about percentage. In my country, everyone under 50 speaks or understands at least two more languages than their native one. Usually, it's English and French. But you can also have German, and you can also have Castilian. You can also have a lot of languages. Okay, I speak more languages because of what I explained to you in another video, okay? But you come here to this country, and even my more than 80 years old mom, she can understand English and German, of course, and she can understand what you are saying, and she can even communicate with you, okay? And you go around the streets, and almost anyone will be able to understand you. Why? Because we are not idiots, because we understand the need to speak more than one language just for practical effects. Imagine that you hire someone that does not speak that a good fluent Portuguese, and sometimes when you are working with someone like that, until that person and now they are forced to have courses, and I fully agree with that, and I fully agree in speaking with migrants only in Portuguese because you have to understand the language if you want to live and work here, and to this will help you to integrate. This will help you to not be fooled. This will help in a number of things that are essential to take care of the situation of migration and all of that, but for another video. But you have a president that publishes a bloody list of enemies. So what he's saying is basically in this, he's saying, go after these people. These people are my enemies. Go after them. I know he's not saying that, but it's what he's implying. It's like, for example, you have your best bud, and your best bud says, that guy keeps harassing me. That guy wants to hit me, and your buddy says, I got you, and he joins up with a couple of other friends, and he beats that guy up to protect you. This is exactly the same thing, and Don't tell me that even the dumbest of person in the United States cannot understand this and cannot understand how serious this is and how. Look, in my view, this plus all the other shit that he's been doing, it's motive enough to impeach him, to stop this, have new elections, and elect someone else. I don't care who, but elect someone else that at least does not do this shit, or at least have a refurbished in the White House and kick out the people that are talking about it. But we are not going to see that, are we? Okay. Now let's talk about the government shutdown. Now, okay, let's read a bit on this news. It's a short one. In the Hill, okay, again, a link will be provided. Johnson cancels House votes next week, pressuring Senate Democrats to end shutdown. This is dated October the 3rd. This way, you Americans put the dates on. It's absolute lunacy. Just saying. Speaker Mike Johnson is canceling previously scheduled votes next week as Republicans look to force Democrats into accepting a Gopcraft clean bill to end the government shutdown. And we all know what they wrote in that bill. The move, according to GOP sources, is intended to keep pressure on Senate Democrats to vote for continuing resolution CR to keep the government open for another 7 weeks. Democrats have repeatedly rejected that bill as they make demands on extending healthcare subsidies and other issues, voting it down again on Friday. A notice from Johnson designating October the 7th, I don't even know what the fuck this date is, as a district work period, was read on the House floor at the oh my god, session Friday afternoon. So, Johnson alluded to the plan in a press conference Friday morning ahead of a Senate revote on the House continuing resolution. Okay, Chuck Schumer, all right. In the second time, Johnson canceled votes in a bid to jam. Oh, look, let's go to the conclusion because Johnson's and the Republicans care more about protecting the Epstein files than protecting American people, Schumer said. Okay, and this right here is the conclusion of all this. Okay, first of all, like for example here, where the parties have to discuss the yearly budget for the government. Yearly, it has to be discussed, okay, and any extraordinary changes to the budget, they have to be approved in Parliament, and then by a special court that we have, that is called Tribunal de Contas, that watch or literally accounting courthouse, that literally reads the entire budget and sees what aspects can be against the constitution and can endanger the solvency of the state itself. Okay, but even here they have to discuss it. Okay, the government presents it, the opposition parties, even the small ones, okay, even the communists with the 3 or 4 deputies or whatever they have, and the other ones that have 1 or 2 deputies, okay, and the larger parties in the opposition, they all gather up, they all discuss it, they all present changes, and let me tell you this: sometimes the minority party um, asks for a change in the votation, into a bill or whatever, or into a measure, and if all the other deputies agree with it, they change it. Okay, it's a normal process. It's a democratic process, and it should happen. Okay, uh, discuss like we say around here. More than one head thinking, it's good. Okay, when more than one person sits down and thinks about things and finds solutions or finds alternatives, the better it is for everyone. Okay, so what they're saying here is this: is you and you should know this, the Republicans are pushing a budget that will massively cut health, the rare health benefits that you still have, that will cut services, that will cut a whole lot of sayings that you should not have been cut. And the Democrats say, hey, hold down, okay? You want to find a solution to keep the government functioning? Okay, we are open for it, and let's do this and let's do that. And they shut down the government, okay? Who is going to be damaged by this measure? The people, the voters. But they shut down government, and then they try to blame the Democrats for it. This is absolutely absurd. You are the ones that did not sit down with the Democrats. You did not talk with people. You did not explain, and you did not compromise. It's just like the art of the deal of Mr. Trump. Okay, he imposes things. Okay, he doesn't negotiate anything. He imposes when he doesn't get what he wants. He mouths it out. He blackmails. He does whatever he wants, and you call that a deal? No, that is not the deal. That is not an agreement. And more importantly than that, that is not democracy. And the next piece I'm going to show you, it's going to present to you one of the consequences of this type of of measures. And this one, I will own. This is available. Okay. Also, the link will be provided in the description. And let's talk about the value of the dollar and what is happening. And this is dated August the 6th, 2025. We are in October. We are in October. And we have seen all that has happened ever since then. Let's read this. Morgan Stanley, the depreciation of the dollar. The US dollar ended July with gains, recovering some of this depreciation in the first half of 2025, but downward pressures on the greenback are likely to persist in the next 12 months. These are the key takeaways. This means this is a summary of what they are talking about, okay? But we can read in it. You can read this afterwards with a bit more care, okay? Because I will provide the link so you can go directly to it. The US dollar ended the first half of 2025 with its biggest loss since 1973. The dollar, are you reading? 1973. The dollar index, which measures the greenback against the basket of currencies of the US's major trading partners, fell about 11% from January to the end of June. That decline also marked the end of a structural bull cycle for the dollar, which started in 2010 and ended in 2024 with an accumulated gain of about 40%. Although the currency strengthened 3.2% in July, recovering some of this year's depreciation, Morgan Stanley Research expects the decline to continue, and so do we, possibly adding another 10% in losses by the end of the next year. We are likely at the intermission rather than the finale. I agree with him, says David Adams, the head of G10 FX strategy at Morgan Stanley. The second act for the dollar's weakening should come over the next 12 months as US interest rates and growth converge with those of the rest of the world. Meaning, when they start to compare what is happening in the US with the rest of the world. The US currency depreciation could have significant impacts for consumers, businesses, investors, and ultimately for the overall economy. It will be more expensive for Americans to travel abroad. US assets could be less compelling for foreign investors. I can talk about this one. I don't have money to invest, but I know people that invest. And just at the end of February, the people that manage their money were telling them we are going to have to sell everything we have on American companies and on American bonds, and we are going to invest elsewhere, invest in European and Chinese and whatever, and Asian in Asian markets because you are going to lose a lot of money if you continue to invest in American goods, in American products, financial products. Okay, Import prices could rise, already happening. Say thank you to the tariffs, putting pressure on inflation, already happening. On the positive side, however, the weaker dollar could be a boost for American exporters. Well, that will be all fine and dandy if the American manufacturers did not depend on exterior factors such as supply of goods and also components, manpower, and all of that. A changed view on the US growth of outperformance. The consensus after the 2024 election of US President Donald Trump was that another period of US growth outperformance was about to begin, with strong economic expansion, continued capital inflows, and outperformance of US equities and the dollar. The view changed in April after announcements about tariffs and the subsequent policy and economic uncertainties, increasing worries about growth, inflation, and public debt added negative pressure on the greenback. The US dollar index lost almost 7%, sorry, I'm just looking into the future, from the beginning of April to the end of June. In its mid-year economic outlook published in May, Morgan Stanley Research estimated that US growth will slow to 1.5% this year and 1% in 2006. I think you have to triple these numbers, after growing 2.8% in 2024, while the Federal Reserve is likely to reduce interest rates from the current stage of 5.25%, 5.5%, as low as two as low, sorry, as 2.5% by the end of 2026. Because rate differentials are a fundamental driver of currency strength, the more that US interest rates fall to match the levels of its peers, the more likely is that the dollar will weaken, already happening. At the beginning of August, the key rate in the Eurozone was 2%, 0.5% in Japan, and 3% in China. July gains. The dollar rebounded in July, yes it did, in response to better than expected US economics data. And this had to do with what? With with this. This has proven wrong. In fact, jobs have been decreasing. But let's continue. We are reading a piece, okay? Such as job creation. The numbers signal that tariffs still haven't had a significant impact on economic activity yet, and they cannot have. They cannot have, unless you are talking about a negative impact. Morgan Stanley Economists expects US inflation to reach a peak in the third quarter, with a negative impact of tariffs on growth and employment likely to follow, already happening. This combination could prevent the Fed from reducing rates this year and then accelerate cuts in 2026. Uh, if we see more evidence over the summer that tariffs are increasing inflation, then it's possible the dollar will receive more support, says Morgan Stanley's chief global FX strategy, James Lord. Yet, recent evidence of labor market weakness combined with policy uncertainty in the US, such as tariff negotiations, there is nothing to negotiate, and the recent debate about an early change in blah blah blah. The negative risk from hedging. Foreign investors' behavior around their dollar holdings offers an important window as how the dollar's value might change in the coming months. Currently, foreigners own more than 30 trillion in US assets, with European investors alone holding 8 trillion of US bonds and stocks. According to Morgan Stanley research estimates, just over half of the European holdings aren't hedged or protected against a decline by using instruments like forwards and options. You want to know what this means? This means that these holdings that the European investors have, they are not protected by European money, meaning the governments of Europe will not sustain this investment. They either ditch it or they take in the slack, so to speak. You understand? The fact that most foreign investors have chosen not to hedge their exposure particularly on the equity side, reflects a view that the dollar will appreciate. Okay, meaning they are gambling that the dollar will get stronger. However, many foreign investors are starting to rethink this view and are adding FX edges, which really means dollar selling, meaning ditching the dollar, potentially decreasing its value further. The initial data suggests that hedging has picked up in the second quarter because of the size of US asset holdings and given how much it was initially unhedged, we could be talking about significant long-term flow. Adam says we have a lot of more to go from here. Okay, let's go back to the start. August the 6th, 2025. Now, we all have seen the recent news about what is happening to the dollar, about what is happening to the hedge funds they were talking about all of this. Meaning, number one, their predictions of higher employment have not come true. In fact, employment has had some of its worst values in the latest decade. Okay, so you are actually losing jobs, you are losing investment. Okay. Secondly, just already during August, I had heard about how am I going to explain this? I'm going to try to keep it simple. Already in August and even in July, I sometimes go to the financial reports, I go to the financial media, I go and try to have a look. I know it's a bit complicated, but if you read it slowly, you can understand it. Okay, just saying that any person, any of you, even without knowing much about it, you can go in and you can read and you can have an idea of what is happening. And already during this time, this unprotected investment, meaning gambling with the dollar and providing strength to the dollar and to the American economy, already some financial centers. It began in Asia, especially, but then it spread to Europe. I don't know. I don't know how it is the situation in the city in the UK. Don't really know it, but I know that in Europe it also happened. People started dumping these funds that were giving strength to the dollar. And this is why the dollar is getting weaker. Because it's not profitable to hold on to those dollars, so to speak. It's not profitable to gamble with it. And hence, this is the reason why people are dumping it. Because you see, governments can talk a lot, but unless you are providing a profit, they will not hold on to your currency and they will not hold on to your economical or financial products. And this all goes back to the first two news I talk about. House Republicans, government shutdown, list of enemies, all of this is a part of the game. Add to this the tariffs, add to this the instability that has been occurring because the United States is unable or unwilling, I would say, unwilling to take the adequate measures, like, for example, full support to Ukraine, that they are now trying to do. But I think it's just Putin getting in the band, like I said before, getting in the bandwagon because they know Ukraine can win. And I think Ukraine will win. Slava Ukraine. Okay? All of this creates instability, and the first ones to stop investing are the ones that have money to invest because they can just grab their assets, take their loss, whatever they have to, minimum loss, and just grab that money and go invest it elsewhere. This is precisely what is happening. And if this spiral continues, this will continue. Will it be a quick process? No, no, no. Sorry to bust the party of some people that might not like the United States that much, but no, no. Even if the U.S. turns like it's turning right now to a more authoritarian regime, I think you are already an authoritarian regime, at least from what I am seeing. They are using different rules, but you are already in it. Even if that happens, this will be a slow decay. It will start by the isolation and the indifference that is already happening. You are in stage one, and then it will progress to something else, which means countries will stop trading with you unless they need something from you. And if they can be assured that they can get their goods without losing money, countries' supply chains will break. And look, and I'm not being a fearmonger. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just talking facts, okay? If you think I'm happy to talk with you about this, then you are sadly mistaken. I am not happy at all. Okay, I have no Schadenfreude about it. I take no pleasure in speaking about these things. I'm just stating facts and giving my opinion, and my opinion is worth as much as anyone else's opinion. I just try to give my opinion based on facts and not narratives and fantasies. And so he can say that tariffs are bringing billions or trillions. I think he's already talking about trillions, right, into the US economy. But the fact is, it's removing money from your economy. It's removing money from your economy. Just take a look at how much you lost in tourism, how many jobs, okay, how many businesses went down, how many farmers are selling their farms. Latest numbers, and please, if I'm wrong, correct me. But latest numbers, I saw them a couple, 2 months, 1 month or 2 months ago. I saw it was around almost 400 family type style farms had been sold out, had been bankrupt, and there are companies buying it out. BlackRock is buying it out, I think. But look, but if you think I'm censoring them for doing that, no, I'm not. they, they are doing what they can do. And foreign investors, they must be buying out things in the US too. All those European investors that Trump wants, want to know what they are doing? They are buying out things in America and then selling them out to obtain a profit. And it's only business. Like I told you before, economics has no morals. We have morals. We, the ones that vote and that tell our politicians what laws they can and they cannot approve and what they can and cannot do. And you Americans, you chose this. You chose to have this style of government, and you're going to have to deal with it. And you're also going to have to deal with the long-term consequences of it. Because just take US aid, where you are not providing aid, other actors are providing it. China, Europe, other actors are providing support. And if you try to break into those markets again, you will have to do it all over again. Some Americans did not like me to say this, but I will say it again and again and again. You Americans have lost all the soft power that that started to be built after World War II, that had a big step up with the President Kennedy. Okay, you sorry, I can just close my door. My kitty has done it again. Okay, you are losing all of that support that you had, all of that soft power. Okay, because of the actions of your president and your governors. And I think this is something that you should really think about, something that you should discuss. And look, you have to talk with your Republican senators. You have to tell them they can choose between either continue to support what is happening or supporting you. And I know a lot of you are calling them out. I have seen the videos, I have heard the people talk about, but that is not enough. Okay, you just have to, for example, why you have a senator that was elected by your town. Okay, you all combine yourselves. Okay, you get in a bus and you go talk with your senator. You go tell him, look what you are doing. We are losing our healthcare. We are losing. We cannot sell our crops. We cannot do anything. What are you doing to support me? Okay, you have to do it. You have to call them out. For God's sake, even one of the craziest person that I ever saw talking in a parliament, Marjorie Taylor Greene, even she is talking against this. And do you think she's saying it because she has morals or whatever? Look, I don't want to criticize the woman. Okay, I don't understand her. I don't like her positions, but I have to admit that when she's talking and saying these things, she's talking with the truth. Okay, because she wants to continue to get elected, she wants to continue to receive a pay, and she wants to continue to have that status. Now, this video has been a bit longer, but I hope that you like it. Another Newswatch episode. I will continue to put out these videos with some reading some things with you, okay, showing you guys and girls some stuff, and I hope you like it. And well, I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope if you are in the USA, I hope that you are safe and at least that you have a roof over your head and some food to eat. Okay? Honestly, honestly, I think you guys should be really afraid because it's going to be hard. It's not going to affect everyone, okay, immediately, but over the years, over 1 year, add another year to it, it will affect your economy. It already affected your economy beyond a quick repair. In tourism, especially in investment, with what happened to that Hyundai plant in Illinois, all of this snatching people out of the street, all of this is going to dramatically affect your economy. It already affected your stance in the world, your position, your soft power, your leverage over other. Okay, just now, your government passed three jets destined to Israel via the Portuguese army base in the Lajes in the Azores without the clearance of the Portuguese government. Just now you did this. You want to know what this can imply in the future? It can imply that the government, the Portuguese government, will probably decide. And I'm not making futurology. I don't know how this will end, but it will probably imply that the Portuguese government might just cancel the deal and kick you out. There are other countries that want to use that base. Just saying. And they are not all European. You might actually have that situation because that base that is there, it provides jobs to the people that live in that island. And this is the reason why we have it available, because the United States is an ally. At least in paper, it's still an ally. And if you're saying, oh, we'll send our armies and we'll take it over by force, okay, you might try it. You already want to invade Greenland, right? But I don't think it will end well for you. Just saying. When the Spanish, when the Spanish took over our government, okay, long time ago, there is a reason why there is a city in the Azores that is called Angra do Heroísmo. Angra means a small bay, and Heroísmo means heroism. They never submitted. 60 years. And if you think they cannot take care of a couple of fat American soldiers, you are you are very mistaken. really mistake. I think those I love those people. I was there when I was younger for a couple of months. They are wonderful people, but you don't want to fuck with them, okay? And they are very fierce in being from their islands and from being Portuguese. I'm just saying. But you do what you have to do, boo. Okay. Now, I hope you all liked this video. I hope you have taken some kind of information from it. I hope it has been useful. And I thank you all for watching it. Please drop your comments, drop your opinions, and I hope to catch you all in the next one.